On this premiere edition of Football Focus, you'll hear from head coaches Mark Heindl of the Ridgway Elkers, Matt Bodamer from Kane, Chris Dworek from St. Mary's, Port's Justin Bienkowski, and Blane from the Redbank Valley Bulldogs. We'll also hear from Laurel Media's J.J. Michaels. Hi, I'm your host, Bob Parana. It's week one of the high school season, and on Friday, the Ridgway Elkers are at Redbank Valley. Kane hosts Smithport. St. Mary's gets a visit from Karn City. Port Allegany travels to Bradford. Brookville hosts Keystone. Union AC is at Otto Eldred. Bucktail at Cameron County. Montauk hosts Connersport. And Central Clarion hosts Kirkland, Ohio in non-league action. On Saturday, the Brockway Rovers open at Punxsutawney. Without further ado, let's jump into our interview. Our first guest on Football Focus is the head coach of Ridgway, Mark Heindl, whose Elkers opened the campaign Friday night at Redbank Valley. Mark, it's really cool to reconnect with you. How's things going in the land of the elk?
Oh, it's been a great couple weeks, and we're definitely excited about going down to Redbank, and can't go down against a more quality of program than what Redbank has put together over the last couple of years, so we're pretty excited.
You know, it's you are young. I mean, that's the way it is. We got a lot of younger teams. You got, just two seniors, Gavin Kilpack and Robert Pruitt. But, man, you got some hungry kids behind them. Tell me about the youth of this team, Mark.
A lot of them are youth, when you look at our roster, but you look at the experience a lot of that youth has had over the last couple of years. You look at a Nate Stagger and, Rocco Allegretto. Again, kids like that saw a significant time as freshmen, and now they're juniors. So they're seasoned veterans. But, again, we're just excited for the opportunity to go off against a quality squad and just see where we stand.
You went through 2-8 seasons. Last year you finished 4-7 and, actually advanced to the playoffs. And it was just a good experience for those kids, too. Made them hungry. And, you could see that coming as the year went with those young kids, Mark. And that just had to be great going into the off season. How's that been?
It was huge. And, you compile all that experience that the kids got, even though people look at a 4-7 season and don't look at it as a success. That was huge for us. And the way that senior class came in, they had some kids that didn't come out last year, and those 5 kids that stuck it out throughout the program definitely left their mark, putting us back in, to what Elker football is all about, and that's getting to the postseason. But couple that with a brand new weight room, compliments of, Denny Heindl and our off season, bringing Scott Salberg back into the fold there. It was just a great off season for us. But obviously now we're into the regular season where the fun starts, and we're excited to see if all that hard work paid off.
Well, and you start off with a challenge, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. It's going down to New Bethlehem on Friday. What Redbank always brings. But, last year it was a tougher game. 2 years ago, I think maybe they blew you out. One of those things. But when you played them in Bird, it was tough. You just have a tendency to play them tough. And I mean, even 2 years ago, it was just plays here and here, big plays. But kind of a good measure for you to open up.
David versus Goliath. And again, when you look at Redbank, just to see how far they've come under the leadership of Blane, they are one of the top tier teams in District 9 at any level. And again, that says a lot about them and their program. But again, regardless of Friday night, what takes place, it's week one. And our biggest goal is from week in and week out, we preach to the kids. We just need to get better. And obviously we had a very good scrimmage last Saturday against Kerwinsville. But there's a lot of things that we had to fix, and we know a lot of things that we don't fix and that Redbank is going to expose. But regardless of what happens on Friday night, this game does not make or break us, but it definitely shows where we're at with the top-tier teams in District 9.
Yeah, going back to last year, you guys initiated kind of the single wing with Tony Gerg there, and, that's boring. I'll tell you what, the kids had fun. I don't think it was boring at all, and I think it just opens up thing. I will tell you ahead of time, Blane said it was like, and we're going to go to him soon, playing you was like playing football in a phone booth. How's that going? Are you kind of sticking with that plan?
Well, I've told you numerous times, obviously, and, off the record and on the record, Tony Gerg and what Bill Crisp brought to our program saved our program. And if we were to continue to go in the same direction, trying to run the ball and throw the ball equally, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. And obviously the single wing has done so much for us in terms because it fits our kids for what we have at the current time. And to have some of those kids back with that experience, from last year to this year. Year two, we know a lot of teams are going to have a lot more scout film on us, but at the same time, we're hoping we can build on the experience that we had in the single wing last year and add some wrinkles to the equation.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, when you see a kid pick up a 3rd down and 2 and he's smiling getting out of the pile, that's pretty cool. That's where it's coming at you. So, it is, there still are your premier teams around, and but there is a lot of youth around here, man, and there's some solid teams. I mean, you go from Keystone Union, the whole batch. This is going to be very competitive this year, Mark.
It is. And the beauty of single-A football in Western Pennsylvania is, and we've said it year in and year out, you may be the top team to start, but you may not be the top team at the end. And for that reason, injuries can make a huge difference on any team on any given week. So, again, the team that is the healthiest at the end of the year is probably going to have the best shot to take it all. And that's the beauty of us opening up with Redbank. Not only see where we're at, but obviously we have a long season ahead of us to see where we can get better at.
Okay, I'll probably get mushy here, but I had 8 years to cover you guys, and it was pretty awesome. And some of the stuff I saw the last 3 years, buddy, was really cool. That's a tribute to you and your coaches, but man, just the overall vibe. There's like a rebirth. Not that it was ever gone, but there's just a new excitement, and I think that's the kids, Mark.
It is the kids, and kind of it's a rebirth, but the same thing is we always tell the senior class you want to leave it better than what you found it.
Yeah.
And, when you look at wins and losses, people look at that as, you didn't have a good year. I look at it as what did the senior class leave for the future classes? Yeah. And obviously without the win part of it, but the legacy that they left of never giving up, continue to work hard every day. Because in life, anybody knows it. You can try as hard as you want, but sometimes the results don't come. But it teaches you character about yourself. And that's one of the things that big time our program took over, from those 2 and 8 seasons. And obviously to go into last year to double that up to 4, that was a big momentum building for us. And I'm hoping we can continue to build off of that going into 2025.
You're one of those folks like myself that say it takes a village, and it certainly does. And damn, with the help of your booster club, the things Denny has done, you truly are blessed, aren't you, my friend?
Well, again, that's what our kids realize. And when you look at it, again, wins and loss-wise, I get it. That's what people always look at. But behind the scenes, it does take a village. And I would take this to my grave. Our weight room facility, I would put that up against any team throughout Pennsylvania because it is state-of-the-art. And it's not something that's just going to affect the 2025 Ridgway Elkers. It's going to affect the community of Ridgway and Johnsonburg for decades to come. And it's things like that that help draw kids into the program and, more importantly, give them a home to go to so that they're not going home getting on the Xbox or the PlayStations, those type of things. But it does take a village. And one thing with our kids, they are always well taken care of.
Yeah, that's so cool. Numbers wise, we're not 50, but you got what you got, and how's that rounding up, Mark?
So we will suit up 29 kids down in Redbank. Obviously, again, the numbers are not where we're supposed to be, but I think when you look around District 9 as a whole, and not only in Pennsylvania, but throughout the United States, football participation is down, and I get it. Yeah. But obviously in small single-A schools, you're competing against, other fall sports that are offered for kids. Sure. And to have 30 kids in 2 small single-A schools that combine graduate less than 70 kids, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, interest at the junior high level, Mark?
We are right around 30 for the junior high for 7th and 8th grade. But again, it's kids getting the opportunity to go out and have some fun, play some football. And then again, the big thing at the end of the day is the camaraderie that's built from it. And that's one thing we're very excited about this year.
Again, going in, this is Wednesday, so we'll have a practice tonight. You'll wrap her up tomorrow and head to New Bethlehem. What's kind of the plan the rest of the week here, Mark?
We just got to fix our mistakes, and especially early on in the year with some kids in different positions that may not have been there in years past. You just got to continue to get better every day, and you can't focus on the big goal. I know everybody wants to think about playoffs and district titles. We're one day at a time, and if we can get better every day and get better week by week with every game, we like our chances to hopefully make some noise by the end.
Yeah, we mentioned Tony and Bill there, but again, part of that is you got to have the assistants in place, Mark. And tell me a little bit about the guys backing you up.
Oh, they've been a godsend. Many people know that I was fortunate enough to get the elementary principal job here in Ridgway, and those guys have stepped in immensely to help fill the void for some of the things that I can't be at. And, obviously when school starts, hopefully things die down a little bit, but they have been a godsend. And I don't care what anybody says, and if anybody that coaches know this, you do have a head coach, but if you don't have good assistants, your program is nothing. And I will put our assistants up with anybody in the entire District 9 or throughout the state, because they're not only just great coaches, they're just great stand-up guys that you want your child to be around, because they're going to make them better people at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, I'm excited. Obviously, I won't be there, but I will be in spirit, so you can kind of give me a look. Pretend I'm down on the sideline there, buddy. But let's have some fun this year, Mark. I mean, it really is kind of the bottom line when it's all said and done. I think one time we talked about, you can win all kind of championships, and sometimes those things are less than the bigger picture, and you've got it going in Ridgway, dude. I'm really, I hate to say it because I sound like an old man. I'm proud of how you've handled things here, and I really am excited about it.
Yeah, we are excited too. And, obviously one of the great things about getting this job here, they have to have a replacement for the social studies job down at the Middle High building. And it was pretty bittersweet, because one of those kids that got it is a former player of ours and a graduate of Ridgway High in Austin, Eric. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that is so cool. Hey, I got to ask you, is our little buddy going to be on the sideline this year or be around Caden Brown?
Here will definitely be there along with downtown Caden Brown, and they are just excited about it. I know our players are excited that they're back. Aaron is going to be a senior this year, so this will be his last ride, but I have a feeling he's going to be one of those types that even though he graduates, he'll be part of the program forever.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, you make sure those boys know I said hi, and I'll see them soon. And Mark, let's go do it this year, buddy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me on.
And I want to welcome Redbank Valley head coach Blane Gold to Football Focus. Blane, we're a few days away from opening night. How's things going down at Redbank?
It's that time of the year where everything looks good, everybody's optimistic, and then when the bullets start flying on Friday night, a lot gets either exposed or a lot gets confirmed for you. So that's kind of the point that we're at right now.
Yeah, it's just it's such a special time. And I got to ask you, though, you guys have been so successful, Blane, the last few years. And, have you been able to keep restocked, buddy?
Yeah, we actually have. This may be the biggest roster I've ever had. We have 49 players. That's obviously been boosted by a 16-man freshman class. So I always think that's a good sign that when you got an incoming grade with so many guys playing. So, I'd say it's certainly not the most talented team I've ever had. The fact that we started camp with 49 guys and ended camp with 49 guys, means that we're heading the right direction, and in that kids are saying it's worth their time to be a part of it. So, in my mind, that's part of keeping it going. Are we going to have years record-wise where we're not as good? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
But as long as we keep convincing the kids that coming out and playing football is worth their time, I feel like that's our way of being able to keep things going.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about if you point out a couple of your key players for us, Blane? And again, as the season rolls on, kids are going to step in, especially when you're young. But getting out of the gates here, who's some guys we can focus on?
I think obviously Braylon Wagner's back under center. This is his third year starting as a quarterback. Each year he's been a starter. He's passed for 3,000 yards, so he's going for hopefully a third consecutive 3,000-yard passing season, which doesn't happen a ton in high school. So. We're fortunate to have him there. Jackson Huffman and Carson Gold are both back, starters on both sides of the ball. Both guys hauled in a lot of receptions last year, pretty valuable keys on defense. And probably what we're most excited about was we started multiple freshmen on the offensive line last year.
Right.
And it was probably the worst possible schedule to do that. 3 of our 4 losses were to teams that played for a state championship.
Yeah.
Karn City was a very good football team, so we kind of threw those kids to the wolves. But we were hoping that by throwing them to the proverbial wolves last year, we're hoping it sets us up for success by getting those guys 13 games last year.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings up, your opponent coming up Friday, the Ridgway Elkers, who, they're still very young. I think just a couple seniors, but they were in that same boat last year. And it's one of those things where I just love seeing the young talent develop. At the same time, because it's setting the stage, but it just seems like the last 3 years, Blade, Ridgway has kind of hung around with you a little bit. So those kids are hungry. And as you coaching the other side and you see that as well, it's like, hey, boys, they're coming. What's the approach again facing Ridgway? It just seems like you play a tough game with them.
Yeah, Ridgway's always a tough team to prep for. I tell our kids it's basically they're playing football in a phone booth. In the style of offense that they run. So they bring a very physical brand of football, play a very physical brand of football. And I think probably the best way to sum up what they can do is if you look at their game against Port, nobody played Port closer than those guys did.
Right.
And they were essentially able to do that because of ball control. So, if you let them get 3 yards on first, second, and third down, I know they're going to go for it on 4th and 1. So for us, we have to raise our standard as far as how many yards we're giving up per play, try to get them behind the sticks. Again, when you're playing football in a phone booth, that's not always easy to do.
Yeah. You guys always seem to come up with those big plays when needed most. It could be a kick return, a long pass. When you call those bombs and such, and it's happening, you see that developing, what's that like, man? That just got to make, you set, and then boom. What's that make you feel?
I have to give Braylon a lot of credit for that because Braylon has a lot of progressions and a lot of reads, and our wide receivers have specific routes that they run based on the looks that the defense is giving us. So it's not necessarily when we make the call, we're not necessarily thinking it's going to be a home run ball, but when Braylon makes the right reads and the wide receivers make the right decision on the routes they're supposed to run, then it can turn into a good thing.
Yeah. I want to ask you, when you came on, you're the young guy. Now you're, in with some of the older coaches and you've really developed. I've always said when people ask it, Blane just has a certain smoothness to him. Yeah. You still remind me of a kid, Blane, just incorporating in that with your kids. You can see the fun. Now winning is fun, but also it's that bond. What's that like for you?
I think that it's a lot of it for me. I feel like there's certain things in life that people are called to do. And, I think for me, my calling was to be a football coach. So while it can be definitely a tremendous challenge at times, there's certainly things that, are easy for me to do, like being enthusiastic every day and and just like you said there with the bond, one thing that's easy for me is trying to create positive relationships with my players. So I think always trying to meet them where they're at, trying to make practice fun. For example, we always take a camp trip. Last week we went and played paintball as a team, so you realize, and even as I get older, like those are the things that I always felt were really important as a young coach. So making sure that I continue to do those things. Yeah.
The last couple years, it's been important. Again, I'm just going back a little bit. There is a lot of teams seem to be a little more meshed. I don't know if it's so much more haves and have-nots anymore. And I think that's just fun for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this year, there's going to be 4 or 5 teams in single A that have a legitimate shot. And that's just from me, first of all, Port's at the top, and just being around and being 20 minutes from Union, a half an hour from Keystone. Union and Keystone are going to be really good this year.
Yes.
So, for me, that's 2 teams there. You throw Port in. I don't know a ton about some of the other teams up north, but I do know that Ridgway's had a lot of success at the junior high and youth level.
Yep.
So I am anticipating at some point this program's going to make a turn because of the amount of success they've had there.
Right.
So, I still think that Port's going to be a huge hurdle for all of us to try to overcome. But, if they're 1A, I think there's probably 3 or 4 teams in the mix for that 1B spot right now.
Yeah. You're I always like down at Redbank. One year, I got to tell you, I was on the GPS, and next thing I ended in the middle of a field. But when I got there, I love that little nook of a stadium you got.
Yeah, it's neat. It's we're fortunate to have our practice field right there. Everything's at the school. Our weight room's there, our game field's there, our practice field's there. Obviously, it overlooks the creek. We got a lot of space for us to work with there. And, in the fall, when those leaves start to change, really it's really a pretty sight for sure.
Yeah. You got a group of assistants that have to make, I'm not going to say they make you look good, but you got to rely on them. Tell me a little bit about your group.
Yeah, I mean, a coach is only as successful as the assistants that surround him. And, there's been myself and Jason Kundick, who's been the offensive coordinator for as long as I've been here. I treat it as basically we're co-head coaches.
Right.
He's very happy to let me deal with all the BS that a head coach deals
Yeah.
But he is certainly the head coach of the offense. And so that really allows me to not have to being able to delegate frees up a lot of time for me to focus on the defensive side of the ball and some of the other requirements that come along with being a head coach. Mm-hmm. And just the all-out trust I have in him that essentially the kids know that any offensive question, it goes to him. And, I use that terminology that he's the head coach of the offense. So he's really invaluable for me. Sure. And, we've had a mix of different guys come and go in the 6 years that I've been here. This is probably the largest coaching staff that I've had. And, I've learned as a coach that, you trust your guys, you delegate responsibility, and that, everything works better whenever you have 8 or 9 set of eyes looking at something as opposed to 2. It's definitely better for the program.
I like to throw out questions from time to time. Like, when you played football, look at the equipment they have today, Blane, maybe back to when you played. It's almost incredible. And when a kid feels good, they play good.
Yeah, you look good, you feel good, you play good. And some guys, if they play good enough, they get paid good for that.
Hey, it's with football programs, every sports program, you got to have boosters and all those things. And your groups do great down there. And just if you want to give a shout out to those folks that keep everybody abreast of the action down at Redbank.
Yeah, we got a group of moms that work really, really hard every single year to find ways to raise money. And we have a booster organization that's always trying to find things that we can do to, try to provide the best for our kids. It's always my belief that I want to try to provide a 4-year experience for our players where I don't want it to be the highlight of their life.
Yeah.
I feel like if they look back and it's the best part of their life, then I didn't truly do my job by encouraging them to go out and be great. But at the same time, too, I want it to be 4 years that they look back on and say, A, it was worth their time, and B, it was some really positive and some fun memories. Yeah. And so it takes money to do that. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cheap to take 50 guys to go play paintball.
Sure.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap to provide meals for them after games. So obviously we couldn't do what we do as a program beyond the X's and O's without the help from our boosters and our many moms that help us.
Yeah, that's so cool. All right, I got to throw you the curveball here. Last year at Media Day, I asked a couple of your kids if they ever ate liver and onions. Now, have you incorporated that into the pregame meal, Blane?
We've not done liver and onions. It's something I've never tried, and I'm big into the carnivore diet, so I'm big into eating really any type of protein I can get, but that's definitely one that I have not tried.
Okay, well, maybe next year your group activity is to try to get down some liver and onions, but hey, man, I really appreciate
if I didn't have to worry about spending the money on that, and not eating it, I may go for it.
All right. Hey, dude, I appreciate you taking out some time here. I'm looking forward to seeing you and the Bulldogs and what materializes this year. And like I said, I just want to stay involved, and this might not be the greatest operation, but I want to keep doing it, and I appreciate it, man. And I hope you join us again, Blane.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Matt Bodamer, the head coach of the Kane Wolves, joins me on Football Focus. Matt, glad to have you here. You're getting set for year 2 up in Wolvesville. What's the vibe?
Well, I would say the vibe is build on what we kind of started last year. We actually have some expectations this year. Last year, kind of going in, 0 expectations and just building a foundation. So this coming year, it's time to keep building, and we're super excited.
Yeah, it's the thing, too, where you took over, late last year. Gosh, I'm going back to Media Day last year. I think you were the 4th coach in 6 years. So consistency, obviously, a key. What was it like having the whole year with the guys, Matt?
It was awesome. It's also awesome that I get to see, I'm in the school district. I get to see them all the time. which I know was a little bit different for some of the guys comparatively the last couple of years. So, yeah, I mean, when you think about one of the most important things is just team bonding and family and having that connection. So, yeah, it's awesome to start year 2 knowing a lot of these dudes rather than learn their names the first week of practice.
And again, part of that, you get to open up at home. That's cool. On Friday night against one of your old-time rivalries, Smithport, but it's going to be, after coming off, some struggles 2 years before last, and then, you guys rattled off 3 wins. That was a big boost, and, the Hubs come to town, and you got a chance to get out of the gates here. How important is those to get off to a strong start, Matt?
Yeah, I kind of am telling our guys this year that expectations are something that's it's a little bit of a burden to have that on your back, but it's also sort of a privilege. I absolutely expect us to have a winning season. So, yeah, they know each one matters, and we're super focused each week. And kind of our main thing, our coaches harp on is just let's focus on our process, and let's just keep making sure we're getting better each week. So, I think this is going to be a good game for us. I'm super excited. I know we're all amped up for it. So
and this culture is so important. But with that, you've seen kids grow from last year to this. Tell me about some of your key guys, Matt.
This year, we only have 5 seniors on the team. One's a kicker. One hasn't played football in a couple of years, so he's kind of new to it as well. So we have 3 kind of our key seniors. 2 of them are linemen, one's a running back. Isaiah Smith is probably the leader of our offense and defensive line. Absolute powerhouse freak. He's super athletic, fast, strong, and just a really smart kid. So we're super excited there. Evan Anderson's coming back as running back. He's also kind of just 6'2", 220, big dude that's faster and stronger than most that we see. And then going to our junior class, we have a really big junior class, and our quarterback's a junior. Eric Novosel, who took over last year as a sophomore. And we didn't ask him to do a whole lot last year in terms of scheme, and we were kind of give the ball a lot, Eric, and we'll throw in a couple passes. And this year's kind of his time to take that next step. He's an awesome athlete who he runs the ball really well. He's not necessarily the biggest guy, but he is somehow super slippery, breaking tackles. And has awesome speed, and all that said too, he's just also an awesome leader. We're super excited to have him. He has kind of all the things that I look for in a quarterback. So I saw him my first year teaching here when I wasn't coaching football, playing basketball, and I kind of picked up on, he sees the floor really well, he moves really well, and so those things kind of always register with me. Like, you have to have good vision. You have to be able to process things fastly, and he does all that, plus just an awesome kid. So,
does he remind you of anybody like yourself?
We totally different offense probably than what we ran. But I mean, his demeanor, he's that one of those kids that grit. And just works his butt off every day. It was funny. I was looking back at last year's media day. It was really the first time I met you, other than when I saw you and Chris at the field at Big 30. Which one of you is going to coach? But it was, you said something that really struck me. You talked about your dad, was your head coach. And it was like, it wasn't so much the success and all that. It was just the effect your dad had on the kids. And is your dad Mike hanging out with you again this year, Matt? Yeah, he is.
How cool is that?
Yeah, no, it's been one of those things where when I was kind of back thinking about taking the job and applying for it, I kind of gave him a call and said, I'm going to need help.
Yeah.
And in more ways than one. And having him and Chris Barber both
Right.
on the staff Chris has been doing this for a long time in Kane.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like my community resource and my go-to offensive football mind that we kind of build everything together on offense.
Yeah.
And then those tough situations, questions that they don't tell you to anyone before they become a head coach are going to happen. Having my dad there for that has been awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, he also knows a heck of a lot about football, and the kids love him. So
yeah, that's awesome. How hard is it as a coach on the sideline? I mean, you're not that far removed. 13 years ago, you were playing football, played some at college, and do you feel like I got to get out there? I mean, how do you control that player coach thing?
I get my fix in practice a little bit. I've worked a little bit to calm my competitive spirit down. For me personally, but yeah, I still get after practice with the kids sometimes and
cool.
Challenge them on, I'll line up at receiver or I'll line up at scout team quarterback or even defensive end. I got a little bit of defensive end action this summer. So.
All right. But yeah, you got to keep with the flow, right? One thing, I'll tell you, when folks who haven't been to Paul R. Miller Stadium since the turf, what a beautiful facility. And really, it kind of coincides with all the cool things going on in Kane. Kane really is becoming a beautiful town. The facility's part of that. The Wolves and all sports are. But, man, football can just do a big launch for that community, too. It brings people in. That's got to make you feel good that you're kind of part of a renaissance of sorts, Matt.
Yeah. My wife and I moving back to the area kind of fell in love with Kane. And luckily for me, they wanted to start a STEM program in my original degree being in engineering. They offered me the job, and it couldn't have been a better fit from day one in terms of me teaching. And then, I felt I'm unbelievably lucky for all the things the school administrators have done. And then our community is just absolutely amazing in terms of their involvement and support for football and school.
Yeah.
We've got a whole new STEM program, STEM room. Then you talk about turf, and we got new bleachers in the gym, and it's overwhelming. It really is. It's awesome, and it's also at the same time kind of lights a fire under me to keep going and don't stop. So yeah, it's super fortunate. And we've loved Kane since day one, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Friday night, you guys are all strapped up. You're coming down those steps, which is just almost a haunting experience. And what's that vibe going to be like, buddy?
Fast and physical.
Yeah.
Back to the old days. And that's what we've done a lot as a coaching staff over the summer to simplify things and make sure these guys aren't thinking too much, and they're going out there and having fun and flying around playing fast and physical football. So plus we have a little surprise that I don't think the community knows about.
All right.
So you'll see that on Friday too.
Yeah.
And I know the kids are absolutely ecstatic about it. So
that's awesome.
It'll be obvious from when we step on the field.
Hey, I was going to ask you, because you got, obviously booster clubs and that, and you got great groups up in Kane, and you also have, I'll tell you what, the coverage the radio station does with the streaming and stuff, damn, that's almost second to none, Matt. Yep. And that's got to make you feel good. So now we encourage folks to tune in to see the surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, what does that is such a big boost for you guys, knowing people have your back, huh?
Yeah. We do everything we can as a team to, first off, let the kids, hopefully the kids acknowledge that and let them see that and feel that presence from the community by just going out and doing things. And then also, the kids are absolutely amazing in terms of going to do things, giving back, and hold and youth camps, and
Yeah.
we just went to the Lutheran home.
Oh, I saw that, man.
So we have, once again, we're a bunch of great people and a great student body. So, I'm always super proud of those guys.
All right, man. Well, let's get the show on the road Friday. Then we got Connorsport over there the next week. I would hope that you would love to come back on with me, buddy, and let's keep the progress going up in Wolfville.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. You give me a call whenever you want.
Joining me on Football Focus is head coach Chris Dworek of the St. Mary's Dutch. Chris, I got to ask you first off, how's life?
Life is awesome. Life is good. Every day is a great day.
Does life pick up a notch come football time, Chris?
Yeah, it definitely picks up a notch. It's an exciting time of year. Getting into the routine, having a new team. Even though you have some guys coming back, it's always a new dynamic. So it's always exciting when the fall season, especially football season, comes around. You
know, you guys are coming off 4 and 5 seasons. You know, there's been good moments. There's been some other moments. But all in all, are you pretty pleased with what you got in camp and how things have gone in the off season? I know you, Chris, you're a motivator. How's the kids doing? Are you getting it across and things going smooth?
Yeah, this camp has been awesome. It's been one of the best camps I've ever been a part of. The kids' attitudes are really good. Their work ethic is good. They're positive with each other. They take constructive criticism well. So it's been nice so far. And we've had a good 2 weeks and had a really good scrimmage last Saturday too.
Yeah. I go back to when I first met you, 2019. You were taking over the program coming from Brookville. You did some coaching at Clarion U. And I remember you telling me how impressed you were with the facilities and how welcoming everybody was. I also remember from that day when I think I asked, hey, buddy, who you got come back starter, as starters? And you said, hey, you got to earn your spots. That's how it's going to be, and that's the way it's been. And how's that philosophy going? I mean, you got to get kids to play their best, and I think you do that, Chris.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. We try, and we have some great assistant coaches too that are all on the same page, and that. Instead of just one person saying the same message and kids get tired, it's everybody. All coaches are saying the same message. So, and that's part of it too. The off season, stressing that we have no returning starters. Everything starts over in summer, and then of course when practices start, that's the first official time that we have to have people ready to go. So, and then the scrimmage too. Everybody plays in the scrimmage. So the goal is to get everybody ready. So that's been the consistent message, and it's fun too talking with kids in the off season too. Hey, you're a good basketball player. I'd like to see you catch some passes, or you're a really good wrestler. You can use that leverage on the line of scrimmage. So it's pretty fun to see get a couple kids like that to come out.
Yeah, and it's it's that bonding, that whole thing. Some people look at it as corny, but man, this is high school. Go out and live and take advantage of your friendships and enjoy things. And like I said, when you that first year, I was just so impressed with the aura you came in with, and it hasn't changed, my friend. But can we talk a little bit about who are some of your key guys, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say probably the key guys. We'll start with the captains. Andrew Field, Cody Thompson, Owen Thompson, Matthew Gilmore, Frankie Smith, and forgetting one there somewhere. Matthew Gilmore, I already said Matthew Gilmore. Brody Whaler.
Mm-hmm.
Brody Whaler. Yeah, so those 3 of those guys are seniors and 3 are juniors, so that was a nice compliment in the teammates vote for them. So they've had a really good camp as far as, we just mentioned about being leaders and positive people and lead by example, and are a little vocal sometimes too when needed to be. So those guys have had a good 2 weeks. All of them have had a good scrimmage. So I'm excited to see those guys keep working and keep affecting positively the kids on the team.
Yeah, and it's always cool, too, as the season goes, you see these younger kids develop, and it does go back to that leadership stuff. You guys Man, you got some dandies coming out of the box. Friday, it's Carn City. They're at Dutch Country Stadium. You know, Joe always has a solid team. And then Brockway, we're not going to worry about Brockway week 2 because we got to get to Carn City. Man, you guys have played some battle. There have been some doozies against Carn City. I guess if you had to pick, you might as well get out there and go against some of the best, buddy. What's your thoughts going into Friday?
Yeah, every week's a test, and then so this is a big test right off the bat because you're right. They're perennially a really solid program, and that won't be any different this year. They have a lot of good kids coming back from last year's team, so that'll be a big test to see how physical we are, answer any questions, and that's the cool thing too about the first week. You know, win or lose, you're gonna look at your negatives and try to fix them and then move on because heck, you got 9 more games after that, and everyone's going to change a lot from that first game anyways. But it's a good test to see where we're standing at and how we do things and if they're working or not.
How cool is it too on opening night to run out there on that field, you know, in front of the home crowd? I don't know, unless people have never experienced it. I mean, even being down there as a reporter, it was like there is a buzz in the air that can't be beaten. My whole idea here is to encourage people to experience joy. And, man, what's that feeling like, Chris? It's like, okay, new beginnings, boys, let's go.
Right. You know, it's the entire atmosphere. It's getting together for team meetings after school and watching some films and videos, having meetings, and then we all eat together. And so we're together from 2:45 until the game's over. Mm-hmm. And so that whole pregame atmosphere is pretty cool. And then the music in the locker room and getting taped and doing some pregame stuff, and then listen to the band warm up and listen to the crowd, get loud. So it's really neat. I had such a great experience in high school, and those are the things I stress to the kids because these are memories they'll have forever. And the harder you work, the better those memories will be. Yeah,
that for sure. And again, too, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. We talked about it. You take whatever in week 1, but how do you plant into kids? Because a season can drag, buddy, sometimes. But how do you keep everything fresh? And you just got to keep moving on. And sometimes I just like I said, it's your aura. But you're going to reach those points in the season. How do you keep this all together, Chris?
Yeah, that's because every team's different. We might need a spark on a Wednesday, or we might need a spark do something different on the Saturday. So I guess it's experience. It definitely, things we've done in the past that have worked, we try them, and if things don't work, then you have to figure out something that does. So, and I really like our weekly routine. We practice hard Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Monday we set up things for the week, and Thursdays we review things before the game, and Saturdays we get together to watch the game film and get together and do some running and lifting. So it's just a weekly routine that I think really helps. And then our quarterback club is an awesome group.
Exactly.
We raise a lot of money, so we'll do things like have a tailgate party. The football team will have a tailgate party before a Stallions football game. We did that last year, and it was really awesome. Mm-hmm. We'll go on bowling trips, things like that. So little things like that. We're going to a Penn State game in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, things like that really helps with the bonding and does some. It's called active rest. Tom Osborne from Nebraska called it active rest, and that's always struck a nerve with me and stuck in my brain. Yeah. So we do things together, but it's always being active. Yeah,
that's very cool. Okay, I got to ask you a couple things here. One is, I remember a couple years. Well, actually, you guys still come out with the weights in pregame.
Yes, we do that.
Tell me about that.
That was one of our coaches' ideas when I first came here, and I don't know if they did it before that or not, 2019. And it all made sense about getting the body and the mind ready before a game. Mm-hmm. And I always tell this story that we did it, kids really liked it, and then later that season, I was watching Clemson on a Thursday night game, and they went on for a few minutes about how they did the exact same
No
thing
kidding.
that we did. So that was pretty cool. And I made sure I found the video and told the kids about it and showed the kids about it. So that was pretty cool that they could connect that.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes I'll look at the other team and they're just looking at what the hell they doing over there. You know,
That's part of it too. But then that quickly wore off. The kids just won't worry about themselves. So that's pretty cool too.
Okay, I got to ask you this one too. Are you still a visor guy?
Yeah, somebody just asked me that the other day, and I don't know when. I think probably I just got tired of sweating so much in my head, and then I always liked Steve Spurrier.
I remember when you come in over, say, wherever we were, that first district, oh, here he comes, Steve Spurrier in through the door. But, man, that's part of the character. You got to go with it, right?
Well, I like it. And, geez, I still have hair, so I have to show that off. Those days are getting numbered, but it just keeps my head cool, so that helps.
Okay, this is Tuesday morning when we're doing this. Build me up to game night. What are we doing the next few days?
Well, we got 2 hard days of practice. This is where we put all the ingredients together and see what we're doing today and tomorrow. And then we break it down in offense, defense, and we might review a little bit each day with the other. Yeah. Like mix them together because the kids don't have school yet, so they're not going to get overwhelmed with homework and stuff. So we'll keep a few minutes longer just because we can. Yeah. And then Thursday is a big review day, and that's the first day of school. And then Friday's the exciting time. Kids running around the high school with their jerseys on, and everybody saying good luck. So that's pretty fun too. That's pretty cool. Hey, I would be remiss, I guess. How's things going with the Elk Catholic? Co-op. Awesome. Having a full year now, being able to go to their school and talk with kids and going to games and writing down notes and going to the school and say, hey, are you number 22? Yeah, I saw you play. Yeah. So that's really helped. So last year we had 4 kids from ECC on the team, and this year we have 6. Mm-hmm. And that's just varsity team. I know our junior high numbers have picked up with ECC kids too. Well, it's just like I said. It's so cool when you see that merge because it's inevitable sometimes in the situations. And again, have those guys be able to play that's just so awesome. And just talking with you again has brought back some memories. So I've enjoyed our time here, buddy. Hey, me too, Bob. Thanks for your time, too, and look forward to talking to you all the time. All right. With us is head coach Justin Bienkowski of the Port Allegany Gators. And I got to say, Justin, I feel kind of weird because I think 30-something years ago, when you were a mere boy, you used to listen to me and Barry do this program. So it's kind of your life is full circle now, my friend.
That is correct. I always look forward to listening to you guys and interviews of coaches. And, of course, I was like a junior high age kid at the time. But, I've always said AML. I call it AML football historian, but I've become a District 9 guy. But, yeah, those are some good days. Yeah. And here you are, getting ready. You're coming off a trip to the state championship game, undefeated season up until that point. How are we looking up in Port, buddy? We're happy with the way the kids have been working. I'm sure every coach would tell you they're pleased with their effort. The guys that want to rise to the top, and some of the guys that seem to weed themselves out, that's taken place. We'll be 32 strong. Look to play a full JV schedule, but we're just looking to get our best, defensive practice in tomorrow night, getting ready for Bradford High on Friday, and that's going to continue to be our approach. Yeah, it's a thing again where you come off that big season like that, some new fresh faces, leadership wise, and some still around. But tell me a little bit about some of your key guys, Justin. Key guys, you can't talk about Port Allegany's key guys without number 31, Aiden Bliss. Career year last year across the nation, recognition. He doesn't talk about that. We don't talk about that. He just goes to work. Appreciate his work ethic. Nick Wilfong, another one of our leaders. Nick pulled a freshman aside one of the first days of heat when we were doing some conditioning and made him stand right next to him, make sure he finished. Nice. Nick. He'll be a huge player for us at corner. He's an all-state returning corner and wide receiver and in the slot. And then Ethan Tarbox would be the hub of our line. He's a returner from last year's line that rushed for over 5,000 yards. He'll move around a little bit, and then we got Tristan. Tristan is has been a phenomenal leader. He just isn't going to be able to put pads on. He's not cleared to go yet from he tore his ACL in that state title game.
Oh boy. Well, that and that again, that sets the stage. The one, and that's the thing. You've got to have that pipeline filled. You got to have kids, obviously respect the staff, but the other kids, and it just seems to work. Tell me a little bit about that blend between coaches, players, and just how you make it work, Justin, because it really is it's fascinating to watch.
I appreciate that. I've always found myself, the older I get in any avenue of life, in this case coaching football, I don't need nor want the guys that are top-notch, 5-star. We know the basics and the fundamentals of football, and we've all cliniced and taught, and, you need to be a good teacher to be a good coach. So that aspect of things. I want guys that want to get better.
Yeah.
We don't want guys that are satisfied. And secondly, in regard of relationships, you got to be, I learned this from a longtime friend and near friend and former coach. You got to be able to have a staff you can lose with. Yeah. Because it's going to happen, especially in Class A, Class 2A football around Pennsylvania. It's just a bunch of guys that all put the time in. Some of us vacation together, some of us party together. We spend a lot of time together in, some coaches are going through hard times, we're there. And then as the players go, they see that. They see all our kids at practice on sometimes. Our sophomore starting quarterback has been on the sideline since he was 3 or 4 years old. Yeah. And we have a lot of guys like that. So I think Aiden Bliss used to be a sideline manager, used to be a ball boy. Nick Wilfong used to be a ball boy. So I think it's a great program that we have here in Port Allegany because the community's invested. And I really, truly tell this to parents, we're take care of your kid. And we do. And I think people trust us and respect us. And I just have a great group of people to work with. And, it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of success with a lot of guys that helped us build this. And their families, we've taken family pictures of all the coaches and kids at the high school field and the bleachers. Yeah. So it truly is a family. When we break a huddle, it's not hearsay. It's just, a bunch of good dudes that want to do right by kids, and teach little football. Yeah, and it is. It's become such a vital part of the community too. And again, booster clubs and the Gator Network. I flip coins between that and the coverage for the Kane Wolves is who's best. But that's got to thrill you too. That outpouring of support, obviously, and having that media thing behind you. That is awesome, Justin. That Gator Network, and credit to Blane. Blane Gold from Redbank Valley, he nominated them, I want to say last year. Mm-hmm. They won a District 9 award. And it's a bunch of selfless people, literally selfless people, because they're in 3-4 nights a week in the basketball season doing girls and boys hoops and wrestling. They're traveling on their own dime. And they're starting to get a little bit of a booster service to them, I hope, too. Yeah. So, because people truly appreciate being able to watch Gator football from all around the country. Some cases the world, we learned last year with our run, and then the communities, I think our community always comes around what's right for young people. I've been here for 22 years. I'm just starting my 23rd year teaching, and I've been here 23, I should say, and I've always found that no matter what, every town community has their ups and their downs, small town, whatever you want to call it, but this community truly cares about young people, and I think that's a huge reason why, I love living here. Yeah. And I've said this before, said this to various people. This community is so much like the community I grew up in. Right. Same exact work ethic and same exact love for young people. Yeah, and you being a Johnsonburg boy, we had that picture of you in the pads on Duber's discussion. But yeah, and at that time you said, you found home again, and damn, that's just got to be a good feeling. A key thing that I've really seen you kind of more, say more often maybe to me, is just the fun the kids are having and how important that is. I remember last year, talking about that state championship teams, it's like they were kids having fun. That's pretty important to being successful as well. Yeah, we talked 2 years ago. Remember, I told you that team was like a bunch of guys in 3-piece suits with briefcases, and it was all business, and that was neat. And then last year was led by Carson and Yuso, just a bunch of guys that like to smile. But Aiden Bliss and I have had a lot of discussions, and one of the messages that you guys remember, we're going out to play and coach a game. So let's have a great time. Yeah, you're going to get yelled at, or you're going to get, corrected. You're going to get possibly punched in the mouth and beat on one play. But you know what? It's the same, because these kids grew up playing on the town square in Port Allegany, the old side yard football like I grew up on, backyard football. And it's just fun. And it's just basically transitioned.
Yeah.
These seniors have been playing football in that square since as long as I can remember. There's other kids, so they truly just play together.
Yeah.
And people watch them play. I mean, there's a couple times I'll stop and play quarterback with the kids playing. Backyard football is really cool because you don't see that everywhere.
Do you have success doing it?
I usually hurt, honestly. But it's just neat because, as the head of the program, it allows me, having, one child of 3 girls and 1 girl still left in the elementary school. It's, so it's kind of a connection to that. But
yeah.
It all goes back to, like I said, community support. Want to see young people do well. And we just so happen to be talented and have a bunch of good people. We'll enjoy, as I told you, our goal isn't putting on any medals and titles. It's simply we want to play as much football as we possibly can together and coach as much football as we can together. And then wherever we end up, we had the most fun playing the best game you can ever play.
Boy, you ought to be on the Chamber of Commerce in Port Allegany. You almost got me ready to move there, man.
No, I mean, seriously, I'm not blowing smoke.
No.
And there's obviously truth hurts, and there's matters sometimes where you have to address issues or get called out or vice versa. All that stuff happens. But at the end of the day, people around here support all our athletics, support our music programs, support our school. And that's what we just want to make sure we do our part to, we want to make our community and our school one. And we, as a football program, try to do the best we can.
You're kind of in a position where you're starting off with, it's not the brutalest of schedules. It is what it is. I mean, I hate that phrase itself, but, Bradford you open up with on Friday, and then I believe you play Montauk. So, but you do never know, Justin. But and then it leads up to that matchup with Central Clarion. But again, you can't look ahead. But how are you approaching this season here, buddy? Going into week 1.
I'll tell you what, as a coaching staff, we certainly have looked at the idea of how we can prep ourselves to be playing on an uphill swing.
Yeah.
Climbing when we get to Clarion. But, we just want to use the opportunity to get as many reps as we can going in to win a football game, have fun flying around doing so. But, like any offense to start the season, your whole offense isn't in yet.
Right.
Your base offense is in. You're going to install things week to week based upon the opponent and the defense, and we'll continue to do that like we would anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, Bradford is, been down. They're trying to build back up. Their numbers are great. They're a 4A school, so obviously we're going over there to our second home.
Sure.
Right. Our kids are not in one way, shape, or form upset about a road game to Bradford because, I mean, we feel really comfortable there and have had a lot of success there. So
yeah, there's been some magical moments there for sure.
Man, those 5 or 6 state playoff games, district playoff games we won there, big 30 game we won there. That place has been good to us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sitting here just thinking right now, talking to different coaches, and, I hope to get them all on by the time if I can keep this baby rolling here. But, it really is kind of a cool thing to see you guys bond as well, because as teams have had success, I think it's helped bond coaches in the area as well, because you know what it was like having everybody behind you. You kind of feel like that bond. Could you talk a little bit about that between coaches, Justin? Because I think it's special, and I don't think it really existed when I was a kid so much.
Yeah, it's certainly not the old school approach, I would say. And I just think for me, it's just a matter of respect. Some of my greatest coaching friends have, Jake Heindl, Davey Eggleston. Those guys are good dudes. And then you get to know and get to talk to guys like Blane, like you mentioned. And Mark Heindl, we talked when we did, Duber's discussion a couple months ago there. He's, just a great guy because he never tried to tell me anything football. He never tried to, do anything other than, help me out with essentially life. Simply because he was a couple of years ahead of me and he went through it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, you told me that you were talking to Matt or whatever, and it's cool. It's always cool to talk to Matt about what he's experiencing, and if he has any questions, I'm able to provide some insight. Or he's got his dad who was one of my mentors. So the bond comes from, I just think, mutual respect of there's some really good coaches that
Yeah.
put some really good products on the field. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't always have the best talent or the most numbers.
Right.
But, the guys that, really, truly you want to BS with, and some of their assistant coaches also, phenomenal people.
Sure.
But it's just cool because it's not just the game. It's a couple text messages here and there or an email about this or congratulations or good luck. So I think we all truly appreciate how can we better District 9.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're all headed, how can we make, just like Port Allegany and Johnsonburg do right by kids and do best for that. We as coaches in this tight-knit group, I think, become closer because, yes, we want to smoke each other across the head Friday nights and stuff of that nature. But at the end of the day, I think we're all rooting for each other when we're not playing each other. And who can get District 9 some love?
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to ask you, too, because it's like, do you sometimes... We know how fragile life can be, Justin. Obviously, we've been, we've had that firsthand. But, do you find yourself almost wanting to pinch yourself to see if this is a dream? Because it really feels like you're living a dream. I mean, through my eyes. How you feel about that? Is it almost crazy to you?
I'm extremely, extremely blessed with, my wife and kids in the support system is absolutely insane. I said to some people, years ago, thinking about getting out, got to go do what I can to help my wife and children get to where they need to be. And the problem is my wife and kids, you can't find 4 bigger supporters than my 3 daughters and wife.
Yeah.
So that right there makes me feel very blessed that when I'm away doing all the stuff and film and, football stuff that you have to do, and just getting to be around the kids, like I can remember years ago we had the mantra, quality time. It's truly, truly, truly a blessing to be able to spend 2 hours a day. Then we have games to essentially, like we'd like to call it, party, and that's the time to party and celebrate, and you put the time in. So I'm blessed like heck to have kids and leaders that want to do that too on our football team, assistant coaches that want to be there. We don't have anybody that in some sports you get I got to practice. Yeah. We don't have anybody that is a Debbie Downer. It's just good quality people, and we just want to keep that going as long as we possibly can to answer your question about pinching myself, we've put a lot of time in and we want to do well, but, I'm just lucky I get to be the guy to lead the show. If somebody has to do it, I'll do it. Yeah. But, there's no absolute way it doesn't happen without the coaches, their families, the players, first and foremost, and all that. Yeah. So it has been a dream because my dream was to be able to impact kids and, coach football and, at a high level and at the high school level. And we're just going to hope we can do it week by week, one more year at a time.
All right. You need to start writing a book. I'll help you as a ghostwriter. I think the Justin Bienkowski Inspirational Journal would be quite a best reviewer, maybe, because I still go back to that numerous discussion and listen to some of your quips, which really make me feel good. So, Justin, I'm happy.
You do a great job of making people better, man.
I appreciate having you as a friend. I'm looking forward to, being on this journey with everybody, but, including the Gators. And let's make it happen out there, buddy. And I just appreciate all you do, Justin.
Hey, thanks very, very much, man. I really appreciate it. You're always welcome on our sidelines. With that camera, go Gators.
I do have the garb now. So you guys did sport me up pretty well. So
I got some more for you.
All right, buddy. Hey, do your thing on Friday. We'll check in as the season progresses, buddy.
Thanks a lot, pal. Good luck to everything you're doing, man.
Probably a guy that knows more than anything, you're going to run into glitches electronically, is Laurel Media's J.J. Michaels, who joins us on Football Focus. Hey, first time didn't quite work, buddy. I can't just hit buttons, but I did and lost you.
Well, that's all right, man. At our advancing age, technology gets the best of us.
Yeah,
so
I go back to my little brother. You can't just hit buttons. Okay, well, having said that, week 1. So, football's upon us once again, buddy. Give me your lineup, Laurel Media's lineup for Friday night.
Well, it's a double dip, or I guess I'd say a double header, but I guess it's more double barrel because it's happening at the same time. With B94, we're going to be in St. Mary's covering the Dutch and the current City Gremlins. Mark Martinez and Nate Stice joining our crew this year.
Oh, so cool. Nate from Western Sports Blog, former Elker himself.
That's right. And he and Mark will be bringing you that. Plus, we're going to be streaming that on.
I got to mention what a good egg Mark is, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, back to the stream.
Back to the videos. Okay, you had me confused.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that.
I know. Hey, I'm new at this.
We'll be video streaming it on our Facebook page. And then on the Friday night, we'll be in New Bethlehem as the Ridgway Elkers and the Redbank Valley Bulldogs do battle. And that'll be on radio as well. Rick Porter, yours truly, will have that call. And we'll be streaming that on our YouTube page, which there'll be a link posted on our Facebook page to get to it. So you'll be able to listen or watch in many different ways.
I have to mention Rick, too, also a good egg.
Yes, indeed. And this is like homecoming here for us because, Rick, I haven't seen him since basketball season ended. He takes a sabbatical for about 5 months for spring sports. So I haven't seen him in a while. So we've got catching up to do. We've got Bell's Meat and Poultry to chow down on, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
All right, that's perfect. Now, let's talk about the league itself, the District 9 League. I mean, sometimes you have your haves and have-nots, and we still have that to a bit, but I got to say, especially in Region 2, where the Elkers, Port, and Redbank, man, there's a lot of young talent out there.
Yeah, there really is. And, you take a look at Coach Heindl and the Elkers, I think they have the ability to really shock some people. They're young, but they are experienced young. A lot of those kids that had big parts of last year's success are back this year. And they were, you're older, you're wiser. I mean, you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I really think folks better not look past the Elkers. I think that they're going to be a very strong team. I mean, what can you say when you've got Aiden Bliss coming back if you're Port Allegany?
Right.
I mean, how can you bet against them? And how can you bet against Braylon Wagner throwing the ball for Redbank? So, right. I mean, those are the two best players, I think, that are returning from last year. And obviously, until you beat them, they're on top, and I think you have to.
Yeah, it's a thing, too, where and the coaches have all kind of stated, too, week 1 does not make a season, JJ.
No, it doesn't. And, especially ever since they went to this one scrimmage format, and starting the year a week earlier, you almost have to treat it at times like a second scrimmage because you're still planning and you're still moving people around and you're going to find out, in this situation, what's going to click for you and what isn't. However, that said, getting the win is certainly going to be much better than taking a loss in week 1. And if you could pull that off, you're much better out of the gate for it.
Yep. How long you been doing this, buddy? Everybody knows you, but I'm trying to think back because, of course, I was, not involved in the game here for a long time. And how long you been into it? And I got to ask you back. I remember Barry and I went to Sheffield, and we had kids coming up for autographs and stuff. It was so bizarre to me being, under 30 at the time. But I don't know if you were one of those kids, but, man, you've taken off with your career, dude.
Well, I appreciate your sentiments. In all, this next month, as a matter of fact, I'll be celebrating 29 years in radio all together. And where the heck did that go? And I honestly, I did my first game with Barry, as a matter of fact. My first full game would have been the fall of '94.
Okay.
The year that the fall after I graduated high school. Matter of fact, it was in Port Allegany. It was a Sheffield Port Allegany afternoon game. I had done some short stuff on the air with him before that, but there were a few years where I didn't do any sports.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, out of the 29, there's about good solid 20 years that I've been doing, football every fall, and I love it. I get that, about the beginning of August, everything is a blur because we've had 3 weeks of fairs and festivals going on in the region, and it's a unique situation where I've got to go from that and flip the switch right into football season that starts, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I probably did ask for you. My dad gave you guys a hat.
Yes, he did. There's an old Sidelines magazine I posted, and I'll be reposting where, he took care of us really well. And, God, me and Barry got to call your name out on the field.
Yeah, and I got to thank you. You guys, you built me up one time. And I remember the specific play, and somewhere I've got it on video, where we were playing Smethport. It was in Sheffield, and Smethport was driving down the field. They went to they were down to the 1 yard line, and I was fortunate enough to make a tackle on Mike Coffey in the backfield and tackled him for a loss. And you guys were building me up. Well, the secret thing was nobody blocked me on the play. So if I'd have missed that, I'd have been in a lot of trouble. So
that might be.
I appreciate it.
That might be a better. Let's just talk about it. We don't have to see the video.
And in that case, it was a 4th down stop.
There you go.
Ender Street. You know what it.
Yeah, now you're getting it. Well, I know I'm excited to hear you guys and do some of this with you this season. New episodes of Duber's Place Football Focus will be posted Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Bob Parana. Be kind and do your best to make a difference.